Hey, and welcome to the Wrap Up Live. We're coming off of another win added to the Raptors streak. This is the official Raptors Republic post-game live show where we recap, we dissect, and we have some fun talking about the Raptors game. I'm your host, Sahal Abdi. I'm here with Oren Weisfeld and Kyle Brickman. Um, we've got Don Yang in the background. And tonight, your Toronto Raptors defeated the Hawks 125 to 114, bringing the Raptors record to 28 and 23. I feel like I get these wrong a lot, but Don is nodding his head right now, so I'm pretty sure I'm right. Last but not least, guys, we love to interact with you all. You know, we stay highlighting your comments all the time, but if you want your comment pinned, you want to spark conversation amongst all of us at any point during our live show, send a super chat in, and we'll talk about it. It could be a trade. It could be a trade idea. It could be anything. It could be Chris Boucher and William Liu, their new friendship that's going along pretty nicely right now.
It's only been 68 seconds. We only made it 68 seconds.
Yeah, it is what it is. The Raptors have won, Oren, how many straight? Is that 5 now? Is that 6? What are we looking at?
5 straight.
5 straight.
Yeah.
According to Jack Armstrong, that's the longest win streak in the Eastern Conference in the NBA, which is cool. And they beat a very good Hawks team tonight. So, guys, what did you like from this game? What do you want to go back to and talk about right off the bat, Oren?
Well, I think, again, for me, it's just the starting 5 is impressive because I should say the closing 5, but it's the same thing. Like, they just keep finding different ways to win in the clutch. Tight games, they always seem to be, these last 5 at least. And the Raptors closing 5 just keep making plays. And the impressive thing is, like, we know that there's not one superstar on this team. It's always going to take a group effort. And, like, it's taken the definition of a group effort these past few games, whereas it feels like every single player makes a play in that last 5 minutes to win a game, whether it's OG blocking Trae Young twice in this game, Fred hitting these pull-up threes, Gary making even some nice passes in this game, Siakam obviously doing everything, and Scottie coming up with a big rebound and that big pass to the corner shooter or OG who cuts in from the corner. Like, they're all just playing so well together. It's really impressive how their chemistry is coming along as the season goes along, and you got to credit Nick Nurse for, like, believing in that group is the group that ultimately is going to be the best one to get it done, and he's been proven right over the last few games. Like, one stat that I think is worth noting, and you know, Sahal, you'll remember I kept bringing this up last season because it was so frustrating, was the Raptors' lack of depth last season killed them, and they went 3-13 on the second night of back-to-backs. This season they're 7-3 on the second night of back-to-back. So it just proves that, like, even though the depth still isn't good, the starting talent is that much better that they're taking them all the way.
Kyle, what did you think about how that game ended? Honestly, for me, my heart started beating really fast as the Raptors' lead started to just vanish little by little. But they ended up closing it out. Do you like the resolve you saw from Toronto at the end there?
Sure, yeah. It was like a 10-0 run, middle of the fourth there, and, like, you know, I started sweating a little bit, but, like, yeah, I think second out of a back-to-back, and everyone is, like, you could see OG, and Jack was talking about it on the broadcast. OG was exhausted tonight. And it seemed like Gary was similarly exhausted. But I think the highlight of the game is, I'll just ask you guys, like, I'm going to assume you haven't looked at the team stats yet. If you had to guess, what did the Raptors shoot from 3? Both of you, just quick, off the top of your head.
I'm looking, though. That's the issue. It looks really good.
Probably 12, 13 for...
What percentage? Just give me a quick percentage.
I'm going to say 48.
Okay.
Is that too high?
63%. 17 for 27 from 3. That is just an absurd number. Like, there's no team in the league can lose a game shooting 17 for 27 from 3. Like, this was just like a hot shooting night, I guess. And Siakam started really... I actually was a little disappointed. Like, it's kind of a stupid little thing, but, like, I wish they just kept it going with Siakam. Like, I would have liked to see him get 50. It's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. But, like, he had 21 after the first quarter, and I was like, I was looking to see him get fed, but in general,
Yeah.
just a hot night, and I think that's fitting. Hot night.
Yeah, I literally tweeted that this could have been like an easy 50 ball for Siakam at the pace he was at after the first quarter. He was unstoppable. I mean, it's one thing to allow a single player to put up 14 or 15 in a quarter, which is insane in and of itself, just one single individual. But for him to put up, what was it, 21, 22, 23 points in the first quarter was incredible. And it goes to show that Siakam, he's genuinely one of the hardest, I think, players to guard in complete isolation, which is what the Hawks were doing a lot of in the first quarter. And a little bit of credit as well goes to, I think, Nick Nurse for putting him in positions where they just continuously fed him and continuously ran actions for Pascal. The Hawks have good defenders. This isn't a slouch team on defense. You got DeAndre Hunter, you've got Okongwu, who was, prematurely given the Giannis stopper label for a little bit, which I didn't really get because I don't think anyone in the world can stop Giannis.
I could.
Except for Nick Nurse.
I could.
But, yeah, Oren definitely could. You're just going to need a ladder.
Swipes, my hands are quick.
That's the thing. Just going to need a ladder, buddy.
All right, man. No. Why? Unnecessary.
Okay, getting back to the game. 22 points from Pascal in the first quarter. Fred had a huge second half as well. He almost caught up to Pascal in this game. I believe he finished with 26, was it? 26 points?
Yeah.
26 points, 10 for 18, 5 for 10 from 3. Pascal was perfect from 3. Honestly, Kyle, if you didn't mention to me that the Raptors shot 67%, I would not have noticed that at all. I gave them 48%, and I thought that was pretty generous because I thought they were hovering in the 40s somewhere. But 60+% from 3 as a team is incredible. It's tremendous. So I give them a little bit of credit. Guys, other than Pascal,
can I talk about Pascal real quick?
Yeah.
Before we move on. Yeah. All right. Like, to me, he's not getting enough attention, I don't think, because it's getting to the point now where we're seeing these games like tonight, where like the scoring, especially the 3-point shooting, is like icing on the cake, right? But what he does every single night is the playmaking and the defense, which I really want to talk about. Like, he's made himself into this player where whatever he adds scoring wise is just like an extra layer that you enjoy, but it's not like necessary for him to really be like a really good player. And tonight his touch was great and he was scoring everything in that first quarter. But to me, it's just like the all around nature of his game is getting that much better. And I had a friend, like, I was trying to kind of get my more casual Raptors fans on, like, yo, Pascal's back to himself. I told y'all, like, they were like, trade Pascal. A lot of people were, and I was like, nah, he's gonna get back. So I had to like take my moment to like be like, I was right. Anyways, they were like, well, he's not doing anything that Julius Randle didn't do last year, right? Which is a fair point in a sense of like, a lot of people still think Pascal is this up and down player who right now he's hot, but there's not a lot of faith, I think, that he's going to just be this for the next, 3-4 years. And my like rebuttal to that is like, Julius Randle was what he was last season because his jump shooting took this crazy leap. Whereas Pascal, the point I'm trying to make is that his defense and his playmaking are actually his bread and butter right now. And then the scoring is actually just a cherry on top of that. And those things are very like, they transfer. They're very reliable, I think, game to game, season to season. So like tonight he was just incredible all over the floor. The defense was incredible. The playmaking was good. The scoring was obviously the main thing tonight. But like, this is our best player, and Fred's an all-star, and Gary's good, and OG's good, and Barnes is good. So it's like, this is a really good team.
Yeah. Kyle, overall, when you watch Pascal and you see a guy that can do almost anything on the court, like Oren said, he could score, he can play make. He plays elite level defense, probably the best point of attack defense you're going to see from a big wing player in the league. Are you more shocked that Pascal can keep up this pace, especially due to the fact that he's at about 40 minutes a game? Like, this guy should be tired by now. And I think Matt Devlin mentioned it so many times. This team's tired. I saw a lot of times when guys were jogging down the court, and to be quite honest, I don't really blame them. Normally, I'm like, it really has stuck out for some Raptors when they don't run back with the ferocity that you're used to. But with this team, it's almost like I'm okay with it. Like, you guys are playing 40 minutes a game, and that's difficult. A lot of these have been back-to-backs this month. It's been difficult. And the fact that Pascal has consistently been the best Toronto Raptor in the last month and a half without even making an all-star, it's pretty crazy. Fred is obviously the all-star for this team. He deserves it. If anyone was watching the all-star naming ceremony, we were kind of all holding our breath because Fred was one of the last all-stars announced. But Pascal, I think, deserves it just as much, man. I don't know about you, Kyle. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think like he missed a few games, or I don't know the exact number, but he was missing games at the beginning of the year because he's coming off the injury. So I kind of see why like he's not in the conversation. But the Raptors are like, criminally underrated on the national level because they're not in the same nation as the rest of the league. So that's to be expected. As to whether or not he can keep it up, like I'd be concerned a little bit. I don't know. The minutes do scare me, and frankly, they scare me a lot. And so it's actually, is it the worst thing that Pascal like is on a beach in Cabo or something instead of in Cleveland for the All-Star game playing minutes? Like I wouldn't hate, like I get that he has incentives, so get your money, but like it's almost better for him and better for the Raptors if he just like relaxed, did nothing, hung out, get a suntan, that kind of stuff.
Same with Fred.
Yeah, but Fred, it's different. Like Pascal's been there. Fred, I can see like it's novel for Fred. And there was an open gym moment released, and which is really heartwarming. Like Fred and Amy Audibert, like pregame and stuff. He's really happy. I'm really happy for Fred too. But it was interesting to see how much it meant to him. But I guess it's also it's always hard to detach. Like it obviously meant a lot to him emotionally, but it's like it means a lot to him financially as well. So it's like it's hard to say like which, if it's an emotional moment or if it's like a breaking the bank moment.
For all of the international soccer watchers who are following AFCON, the African tournament that's going on, Cameroon did lose to Egypt yesterday in penalties. And there's a certain Cameroonian on this team who I feel like might have been watching that game, might have harnessed all of his anger and taken it out on DeAndre Hunter and Onyeka Okongwu tonight. It was unfortunate, but you know what? If you have been following AFCON or if you're an international football watcher, not American football, I'm very happy that Cameroon's out now, because now I can say that Pascal has taken that and used it as a positive for the Raptors. I need Oren, the next time you're in one of those press conferences and the next time you have an opportunity to ask a question, to ask Pascal about what he thought about Cameroon's run in AFCON. We're all going to hold it against you if you don't. And that's all I wanted to mention. Yeah, I do. RXEST. I do have a Spurs jersey in the background. I'd love to know what team you follow as well.
Don't do this.
I'd really love to know what team you
He's
follow.
just another person on YouTube.
Because
Sahal, don't get too mad here.
All right, sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, guys.
But
I hope it's not Arsenal. Yeah. Getting back to the game really quick, guys. We talked a whole lot about Pascal. He's quite honestly, and I hate to give away who's probably going to be the player of the game, the taxman of the night, but it's probably going to be Pascal. We'll get to that a bit later. The game you saw, guys, from some of the bench guys. Chris Boucher stood out. He had a very good game, 11 points, 8 rebounds. 3 of them were offensive rebounds. He was perfect from the field, 4 for 4. Tons of energy. Precious had a very, very good game. Couple weird plays, but we're not really going to let those, overshadow what Precious did tonight. Are you guys happy with what you saw from the bench performance tonight?
Yeah, man. Precious, you mean Precious KD Achua? This guy, man, he just keeps showing up every game. Every time he put the ball in his hands, looks like KD out there up until the finish. But no, in all seriousness, I thought it was funny that people were on Twitter saying like, if Precious just embraces this 3-and-D role, he could be so good. And it's funny because I was also saying, like, bring Miles Turner to Toronto, it'll be fine. Like, he'll take a smaller role. With Precious, it's like, what have you been watching? This guy's KD. He doesn't think he's a 3-and-D player. He thinks he's KD. So I think that's funny that people think that, like, he'll settle into this role. But, like, yeah, I was impressed with Precious. Like, in all seriousness, every time I've ever gone in the Raptors like practice facility, Precious, which is always after practice, Precious is just putting up threes with an assistant coach, like, again and again. And so, like, I'm not shocked to see him this start to come around a little bit for him. I think, like, it only makes sense that eventually they're going to start to go down. And he's been from the very start of the season a willing shooter. You can't say the same about, like, Kem Birch. And if you're a willing shooter, I think it's only a matter of time before you start to see the results. And it's huge for the Raptors if Precious can space it out to the corner for the spacing. So yeah, I thought he definitely deserves a shout out with what he gave them tonight.
Kyle, what'd you think about Chris, Precious, even Delano Banton at the end of the bench? He didn't score, but he did have 3 assists and a key steal in the game.
Yeah, I thought they contributed. It's like, it's interesting that the bench has had like a straight week of positive contribution, but the minutes distribution hasn't really changed. So it's like we're talking about the bench seems to be performing well, and yet their starters are still playing heavy minutes. So I wonder if eventually the bench plays well enough that they'll actually, start saving the starters' bodies a little bit, because it's like we might think the bench is playing well, but Nick Nurse is like the ultimate. He's the Swami in this situation. He knows what, like, what's going on with the bench. So clearly the bench isn't playing well enough for them to like take minutes off the starters still. But yeah, I like when the bench are shooting 100% for 3. Like, I'm down. Yeah, good night. like hard to complain.
Yeah. I wanted to actually bring something up with that bench and starter split, because in the first half, Nick brought VanVLEET and Siakam out together, right, to start the second quarter, and there was a lot of complaining about that. People felt like that was a stupid decision. The Hawks went on a run, and then in the second half, he split up their minutes more. So I think one of them was on the court the whole time. Were you guys mad like Twitter was mad in the first half, like when he took both of them off at the same time? Or do you think that maybe like it just happened to be the fact that the Hawks went on a run? Sure, but maybe there is something to say about taking them off together, playing them together, because they obviously have a very good 2-man game.
Yeah, Kyle, do you wanna go first, or?
No, I don't really, honestly, like, I don't get mad about it. It's always hard, like, about specific lineup decisions. It's like, was I mad like Twitter? I've never been mad like Twitter.
You're not irrational? You're not irrational? Okay.
No, but it's always hard with like specific lineup decisions like that, because it's like, okay, the Hawks went on a little run, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was the wrong decision. It's hard. Like, you can't just be detail oriented. Like, that's like saying a wide open 3 that was missed was a bad shot. It's like, no, you can still make the right decision if things don't go your way in general in basketball. So it's hard to say. This is too small of a sample size, and we'll see how it works out going forward. I actually don't hate it in theory, though.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Raptors and their last 5 games. And remember, guys, about a month ago we were looking at the schedule, and it was a bunch of teams that the Raptors would have to face a couple times: the Bulls, the Heat, the Hawks. Well, they've played all of those teams 2 times at the minimum, 2 times in the last couple of weeks. And they've beaten the Hawks twice. They split with the Bulls. They've beaten the Miami Heat twice. Before that, they beat the Charlotte Hornets. They beat the Wizards. Guys, the Raptors are on a very, very good run. And I think the best part about this run is the fact that they're not only are they showing that they're capable of beating very good Eastern Conference teams like the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls, but also, guys, when you beat a team like Atlanta, who's currently 10th in the East, you start to separate a little bit. You start to separate yourself from the rest of the pack in that play-in range, which is really good. Charlotte was a key win for them. Beating the Hawks twice, key wins. Obviously, the Bulls game. I watched a little bit of the show yesterday from the Bulls game just because I felt like, the Bulls played a really good game, but the Raptors played a little bit better. This is important, I think, when you look at the rest of the standings. Oren, would you agree that this game was probably one of the most important games of the 5-game stretch for Toronto, just separating from Atlanta in the standings. Now there's I think there's a four game. We got to see the standings here, but how many are the Hawks behind?
Yeah,
The
3.5.
Raptors, 3.5. Yeah.
It's big. I mean, this whole stretch has been big, but yeah, you're right. Like the Hawks to me are the team in this bunch that are the scariest in terms of who's going to make a run and who's going to go above the Raptors. I think they're even more scary than the Celtics, to be honest, because I mean, the Celtics offense is just atrocious, but yeah, I think this whole stretch has been really big just because they've beaten a bunch of really good Eastern Conference teams in a short span of time. So despite like the minutes crunch that everyone's been worried about, the Raptors have kind of came out of this fine, and they have a really easy schedule coming up. Me and Kyle were looking at it yesterday. They have Charlotte, and then they have OKC, and then Houston, and then one other team in the next
It's the Pelicans.
Next the Pelicans.
That's ugly.
A bunch of poo. You know, it's just like it's nothing scary. And if we can go back to that standings screenshot, like we're a game back of the Brooklyn Nets. If anyone said that at the beginning of the season, like I understand the NBA moves quick and a lot of things have happened this season to make the circumstances such as they are. But every one of us had Brooklyn, Milwaukee, probably 1-2. At least Brooklyn was 1 or 2 in the Eastern Conference. And they are free falling. They are a mess right now. KD is
ugly.
injured. And the Raptors are in the exact opposite kind of momentum wise, where they're just trending upwards. Bunch of easy teams coming up. We're not. I wouldn't be surprised if they pass Brooklyn in the next week, and that's a pretty crazy accomplishment.
Do you think completely, like just talking about Brooklyn particularly, you look at this standing, they're 17-9 away. Kyrie's played a bunch of those games since he's been back, and they do not have Kyrie at home. This is not looking good for Brooklyn. This is the same team, by the way, if you follow Adrian Wojnarowski or Shams, same team that's been linked to a James Harden, Ben Simmons trade today, which was pretty cool to see. Shake up the East a little bit, see how it works. But I mean, it's
James
weird because
Harden also has this hamstring injury that's kept him out a few games as well.
Yeah.
So, I was tweeting this the other night, by the way, about like Brooklyn, and like I think the Raptors and Brooklyn are a really fun comparison when you look at the NBA and all the different ways to kind of succeed in the NBA. And like Brooklyn is this superstar driven team. Did we really just get bumped from YouTube again? Or am I just tripping? Brooklyn's this. Let me. I gotta check it. So I'm sorry.
We're good. We're good.
People in the comments.
We're good. It's just my bad. It was just a StreamYard. So Brooklyn's an interesting team because there is superstar built top heavy team. But then I was watching the game the other night. I forget where they were, but Kyrie was playing amazing in the start of the fourth quarter. Amazing, getting everything he wanted. Yeah, maybe. And then James Harden comes in with about 8 minutes left, and the ball goes to James's hands, and James Harden can't do anything, and he's just messing up the offense. And Kyrie basically does not touch the ball for the last 6 minutes of the game. And I tweeted like, "This is what happens when you're a part-time player who publicly refuses to get vaccinated. Everyone knows why you're not playing. James Harden is clearly not happy with the situation, and." Even if Kyrie has a good point and he can go in that locker room theoretically and be like, yo, give me the ball. I was on a heater. He can't do that because his words hold no sway in the locker room because the situation that the Brooklyn is in. Whereas the Raptors are the opposite. They're not built superstars. They're built with just a really organic culture where the ball moves and every night is going to be a different top scorer. And you can just see, I think, how in the NBA, there's a lot of different ways to win. And those two teams represent like drastically two different cultures and two different ways to win. But one is not necessarily better than the other, at least in the regular season. One is not necessarily better than the other.
It's also Go ahead, Kyle.
I think you touched on a pretty big point there is like in the regular season. And then Brooklyn, it's like the guys have taken like lax approaches to regular season basketball in favor of like saving their bodies for the postseason, but like Brooklyn is kind of on another level now. I mean, again, you said one of their 3 stars is a part-time player. Harden and KD, like KD's out, but Harden takes nights off and he takes nights off while he's playing. He takes half the game off when he plays defense. Like that's the team. So I don't know. It's interesting. Like I don't want to overreact about Brooklyn in February. Like they're a May team.
Yeah, I'm not going to overreact too much either. But what I will say is it does help that Toronto's core is filled with, very, very good defenders. Gary Trent has evolved this year. Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, and then you look at obviously Brooklyn side, who I'm not going to discount anything James Harden does because again, this is a guy that can have a very lackluster regular season and then just absolutely turn it up in the playoffs. He is, I think, known for being one of the superstars that maybe dips a little bit in his performance in the playoffs. But Kevin Durant is the total opposite. He turns into a man that's just absolutely possessed. If you were watching the last playoffs, especially against the Milwaukee Bucks, like what I was watching Kevin Durant do, I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Maybe the finals, Kevin Durant in 2017, I think it was 2016. I've never seen anything like that. So I'm not discounting them. What I will say is, and I've said this before on past shows, when you look at the top of the Eastern Conference, I do not see a team that can just swat Toronto away. I don't. I personally, I don't, which is very honestly shocking to hear for some people because when you compare a second seed and a hypothetical seventh seed that Toronto is right now, you would think that's a 5-game series. You go up against any 1 to 8 seed. That's a 4 or 5 game series. I don't see anybody in that top 4, really even the top 5 or 6 that can just swat Toronto away in 4 or 5 games. I think Toronto's going to be a tough out if they do obviously make the playoffs. I'm not acting like they're guaranteed to make it there.
We should
mention. You guys want to do? Yeah,
I was going to say before we do Taxman because. Like I heard there was a pretty early Taxman call, and this is 2 consecutive shows that we've called Taxman within like the first 5 minutes. I have to give Scottie Barnes some love. Like he had like 7 points in the clutch, a steal. Like he was just like when the rest of the team was obviously gassed, he was working his ass off. And it seemed like Oren and I, we were talking last night about how he got pulled from the game late in favor of Chris. Because it looked like he was tired, and tonight it seemed as if he was sending a message to Nick Nurse like I'm staying in, I'm closing this game out because he like had that steal from in transition there, like getting back in transition. He had a couple buckets where he would just sprint down the floor, like late in the game, sprint down the floor and pin Trae Young deep. He had some assists. He hit that buzzer beating 3 to basically ice the game.
Yeah.
Like I know Pascal had a great first half, but Scottie, I think the fourth quarter was Scottie's quarter. And again, like it's gonna get lost because he was, he's not the primary scorer, but like this is a big bucket. This is a big bucket from a guy who was not supposed to be able to shoot.
Yeah, definitely. Quickly, guys, over the last 3-4 games, I want to say, OG Anunoby, who probably was the one core guy that didn't perform as well, at least offensively. I thought defensively he was exactly where he should have been most of the time. In this game, he was 3 for 8, shot 37% from the field, 8 points. He did have 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. So it wasn't like OG just did not make an impact on this game. Like what he did other than scoring was tremendous for the Toronto Raptors. In the last game versus Chicago, he had 21 points, 8 for 15 shooting. Are you guys impressed with OG's ability to impact games like this when he can't score the ball? Because to be quite honest with you, I'm seeing some people, some Raptors fans on Twitter who are getting a little bit frustrated with how OG hasn't really taken off in terms of his scoring this year. A lot of people are making jokes about him slipping and falling and not having the balance. I mean, I made a balance joke today. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to repeat it because it's just a little rude. But are you guys happy with what you see from OG other than the scoring in the last few games?
I'm just shocked. I've never seen someone fall so much. It's like he's like wearing like a pair of roller skates out there. It's not to disparage him. It's just weird to see a guy fall over like with the ball so much. And I think it's frustrating. His handle just isn't there. And he's got every other, like he can hit he can post up smaller players. He can hit contested shots. He's a tremendous defender, and honestly, like, was a super impactful defender late. Like, was making impactful play, after impactful play on the defensive end late. But like his ball handling, his individual creation is so frustrating sometimes. And like, I think that there was a lot of hype going into the season about this is the OG year, like he's taken off, and it kind of didn't materialize. So maybe that's the expectations were a little bit too high.
Yeah, I think I've been thinking about this a lot because you look at the starting five and all of them have overperformed expectations other than OG. But I think the expectations were a little unfair in the sense that, people want him to take this big leap. And yet you're adding Scottie and Gary to the mix. So it's not like OG is getting like the amount of reps that I think people assumed he would get when they predicted he would make this leap. People thought this was going to be such a rebuilding season that the ball would just be in OG's hand. Scottie and Gary, like, people definitely thought OG would be the third option heading into this season. Scottie and Gary would take a backseat, and that just hasn't happened. Like, after Siakam and Fred, those three guys have all kind of had an equal share. Actually, Scottie's been the fifth option, but Gary and OG kind of take turns. And yeah, I also think the fact that, like, you're right, his handle isn't great, the balance isn't great, but he's had a lot of success in the post this season. But unfortunately, the Raptors just aren't a team where he can have a lot of post reps, right? Because there's all these other guys who like to have the ball in the post. So in that sense, I guess it's hard for him to take this leap that we thought, when they need him so much as a spot up guy, which is something I've also talked about. He's not being put in the best positions to succeed, if we're being really honest. But yeah, thank you, Nancy, for
That's my mom. I love you, Mom. Thank you for thank you for the super sticker.
So good. My mom's also my biggest fan. So thank you, Kyle's mom. We appreciate it. Ton, if you could play that Scottie clip. I want to get back to what you were saying about Scottie, because yeah, he was really good in this one, and he really did show up in this one. And I tweeted about this clip and specifically, like, we just weren't seeing him do this at the beginning of the season. And like, we all know it's not a secret, if Scottie can get the handle down, it's over for the league. He's an all-star. And so the handle is improving.
Finish too. I got to point that out. That's an offhand. Like, that is wow.
Yeah. And he could do that. Like, he's always kind of had that since he got in the league. He's been able to finish with both hands, but he's never been able to break people down off the dribble like this. So to me, the handle is more important than anything here. And it's if he can do this regularly, he's just going to be such a scary player. And I'm happy with how they're developing him, but by next season, even, like, we're going to have to rethink the hierarchy pretty soon.
Guys, with Scottie Barnes, I've by the way, I had to leave really quickly. I don't know if you guys noticed. I just left in the middle of your little soliloquy you were having, but Scottie Barnes specifically for me in this Toronto Raptors lineup, I think I've gotten to the point where, a lot of people talk about, when you have a core five, that's probably this, like, when you have a core five that's this good. Because for me, the Raptors have a five that I don't know if I see myself trading any of them in the future for a potential star. It would have to be almost like a superstar. These are, because for me, when you look at the Raptors, I don't know what the next step is. Do you just wait for that superstar to show up to your door like Kawhi Leonard? Do you just sit there and say, you know what, we're okay with being that third to sixth seed for however long? Do you develop what you have? I think the Raptors are at the point where now Scottie Barnes is probably your most important core guy beside Pascal Siakam. I listed, my friends asked me today, they were like, if you were to potentially get that superstar, who are you most willing to give up out of these core five guys? And a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but, from least to most, I had Pascal. I wouldn't trade him, and then I had Scottie, I had Fred, I had OG, and then I had Gary. And that's hard for me to say as a Gary fan, but
yeah, I'm surprised you said that, actually.
Yeah, it's hard. It was very hard for me to say, but we don't really talk about, guys, what the next step of this team is, looking a little bit deeper into the future. And I
We
kind of
did
want
a
to talk about
2-hour
that.
trade episode about it.
We did.
He
Not
missed
everyone.
the second hour, though, to be fair.
Yeah, I did. I was gone halfway through.
Wow.
I guess to reiterate,
Nathan, hold up.
Nathan, buddy.
Nathan, what's your
you.
address, bro? I'm coming over. over.
Okay.
Nathan.
No, but thank you.
I
just
totally blanked out. Thank you, Nathan. Nathan, I hope I pronounced that right.
This is how you
Nathan,
know we don't get money.
Meissen?
We're like $50. What the fuck?
Well, no, that is a huge. That's a massive donation. I mean, wow.
Thank you to Nathan, though.
Nathan, do you want anything? Can we address something for you? You want
Kyle,
something we could talk about?
You should autograph something for him. You should autograph something. No, but honestly, thank you so much to Nathan. Why did we say thank you, Nancy? Who wrote that? Is that you, Don?
No, that was a different.
Guys, why are we saying? Okay, there we go. Thank you to Nathan. Everybody say thank you, Nathan, in the chat. I don't want to just swat away Nathan because I feel like I was just about to ask a question until Nathan came in with a bomb right there. But I guess looking forward from this team, guys, this looks like a playoff team if everyone's healthy. But even looking beyond that, has it got to the point with you guys where if a superstar were to come around, are you even giving up Scottie for that? Because when I think about Scottie's value in this league, I don't know, man. Like it's the superstars, and then you have that Scottie, Evan Mobley range of players where I don't even know if I'm trading them for superstars. I don't even like if a Milwaukee Bucks calls you tomorrow and says we have Giannis here. That's probably the only way I'm giving up Scottie. Right? That's probably the only way. If it's Giannis, if it's Jokic, but if it's a guy like Bradley Beal, guys, hypothetically, Oren, are you giving up Scottie Barnes? I value this guy probably more than most in this league.
Yeah, Scottie's better than Bradley Beal right now. Boom. No, I'm just joking. But no, I'm with you. Scottie's definitely at the top of my list in terms of the Raptors' value. Like he's the guy who I would never trade, and then Siakam's probably right under that. I think right now. But no, I think it's a good question. Like he's a super. Like I mean, my opinion hasn't changed on it since. Yeah, like my opinion hasn't changed since like Summer League, where it was like, oh my god, this guy has superstar potential. And so if you have superstar potential, you can't really trade that, unless, like you said, it's for Giannis. So yeah, I think you're right. Like I think he's on the road to becoming a superstar, but at the same time, I think it's not as far away as we all predicted. And going back to what we were saying about how he had this big fourth quarter, like everything that the Raptors do right now is dependent on Scottie. Like how far they can go this year, how far they can go next year, when they make that trade where they're giving multiple first round picks to get to the next level. It's all dependent on Scottie because, as we're all seeing, he's their fifth guy in the starting lineup. And the other guys have played multiple years in the NBA. He's the only one who's having his first crack. And some games he looks like it, and some games he doesn't. Yeah. And the sooner he doesn't regularly, the sooner he regularly looks like a guy who's comfortable in those situations, the sooner this team legitimately has a chance to win a playoff series or something like that. Kyle, what about you? Where are you at?
If you won't do like the hot take thing, I'm doing the hot take. I'm coming with a really.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Boom. We need drops on this. We need like sound drops. I can't do it myself every time.
We need a soundboard. I think
in terms of like trade value, because of he's on a rookie contract. He's super young, and he's super talented. Like there are less than 10 guys I would trade Scottie for in the entire league. Like I'm talking like, okay, Luka, Giannis, those young players, but like I'm being 100% serious. I would hesitate to trade Scottie Barnes for LeBron James right now. I think LeBron is one of the best players in the league, but he's very old and he's on a huge contract. It changes the structure of your team. Like Scottie is a premium asset in this league. Like bigger than almost anything there is out there.
Yeah, I'm at the point where someone had a list of players that they had there. Yeah, I think it was like Giannis, KD, Kawhi, Jokic and someone else are probably the only guys that you include in a trade for that includes Scottie Barnes. I just don't. That's how much I value him. I watch him and I go, "There's no way this kid is this young and this good, this fast." And yeah, the Raptors did it again. I never would have believed
did it again.
Okay.
No,
keep going.
We should
No,
thank Top
come
Shot
on, Oren.
Tesla. Thank you, Top Shot Tesla. And I would agree with this take. OG is our best defender, most
He is.
versatile, and
He is.
probably the best individual defender. Although Siakam is, I don't know. Siakam is up there.
Yeah, this is a wide open Eastern Conference, guys. The Raptors have won 7 of their last 9. Like we said, the Brooklyn Nets are falling apart. Not at a very good time. We talked about it, yesterday during the trade deadline preview show that the Raptors are almost guaranteed to be buyers. You almost have to be a buyer at this point if you've won 7 of your last 9 games. Like I said, Bulls, Atlanta, very good teams. The Miami Heat. A 3-0 homestand. To be honest, guys, I was looking at the crowd and I didn't even realize until like the second quarter that there were fans allowed in the building. I thought we were waiting until the next stage in Ontario, the February, I think it's 21st, before fans would be allowed in. But hey, it's good to see some fans in there. I don't know what the limit is. I don't know what the cap is. Ontario is just, I don't want to get into politics, but Ontario is just everywhere right now. I'll leave it at that. Eastern Conference guys, wide open. I'm very excited for what the Raptors have. The schedule is very easy, but again, I don't want to get too high on this team because the last time I was very high on this team, they lost to Dwayne Casey again. So I'm not in the space right now where I can get super, super high on the Raptors. I'm just going to be even keeled, keep my expectations at a certain level. Do you guys want to do Taxman really quick? Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah, do it.
In the comment section, guys, who do you think was the player of the game today? Because if I see anything but Pascal Siakam, I think we're just going to close this off early and we're all just going to go to bed early on a Friday night. Pascal Siakam, I will give a shout out, obviously, to Fred VanVLEET. Played a fantastic game, but Pascal Siakam is your Can-Am Taxman of the night. And guys, you know this by now. Tax season, I've said it before, it was approaching. It is here now. And Can-Am is going to be your best friend during tax season. Can-Am is a full-service small business accounting and tax firm with an experienced and friendly staff that can help you during this tax season. They also provide personal taxes and can recover all the refunds you guys are entitled to. So don't leave your money on the table. Guys, if you have questions about your personal taxes, Can-Am would be happy to help the Raptors community and the wrap-up community. Check out the Google reviews and go on www.canamtax.com. That's www.canamtax.com.
We lost. We I don't think they're.
I
think we lost
that out of Oren, and that's the only reason I do that now.
Yeah,
I just
you
do that
hype
little
me
jingle
up.
at the end because I
You
know
hype me
Oren's
up,
going to come
man.
out there. I love that, man.
Ooh.
I love it. That's my favorite part of the night. Pascal Siakam, your player of the night, 22 points in the first quarter, finishing the game with 33 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 11 for 16 shooting, 3 for 3 from 3. Wow.
Spice and Dice, eh? That's the new nickname for Pascal
I've seen that.
and Fred.
I like
That's a good
that.
one.
I've
like
seen
it
that all
too.
over Twitter.
That is
I've seen
nice.
that all over Twitter. Litmus, you missed it. We talked about Delano a bit earlier. We got into the bench. We talked about that as well. Did you guys see? I know we're veering away from the Raptors for a little bit, which I tend to do sometimes. But really quick, did you guys see the Rising Stars rosters? Scottie Barnes is on Team LaMelo.
Scottie Barnes was the 6th overall pick, I think.
Yeah. I don't know how.
Five spots too low.
Who got selected before him? LaMelo.
So look, it goes left to right. No, that's not true. Never mind. That's not the right order there.
You saw Precious second and you were like,
yeah,
hell no.
No, Precious like 24th.
Yeah, that's not happening. Okay. I don't even know who the Dyson Daniels is, but
he's like
the
vacuum.
Some of these guys are G leaguers, like G League.
He's
Ignite.
the ear to the vacuum. He's the ear to the vacuum.
You're wrong for
company.
Guys, this is cool. I think one of the coolest parts to this Rising Stars roster is the fact that you have, I think it's on Team Peyton, the third name from the bottom, Scoot Henderson. He's projected to be a top 3 pick in the 2023 draft, which is really cool to see. And he's participating in the 2022 Rising Stars Challenge. Totally different format this year. You guys can see it's not just 2 teams playing each other. It's not Team USA versus the international team. It's 4 teams of 7, which is super cool to see. And guess what? We can root for 2 teams. We can root for Team Peyton and Team Isaiah because Precious Achua is on Team Isaiah. He's got Desmond Bain, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton on that team. And Scottie Barnes is on Team Peyton with LaMelo, Dominican-Canadian, might I quickly add, Chris Duarte, Scoot Henderson, Davion Mitchell. This is cool, guys. I don't know what you thought when you saw these rosters come out, but I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah, my thoughts are they had to change from the international format because the international teams are winning too much and it was an embarrassment. And those boys in Cleveland could not have the USA losing on All-Star Weekend. It would have been rioting in the streets. Although I guess with these rosters, the US probably had. And Scoot Henderson is like might be a top 3 projected pick with like top 1 name. I'm gonna give it to him right now. That is a hell of a name.
I love that.
It's almost like it's like kind of like Precious Katie Achua, right? It's a similar kind of good.
Yo, you need to stop, man. You just need to stop. Who is?
That's what his friends call him, though. Probably.
Who's your favorite of these 4 teams? I was leaning Team Peyton. I think.
Oh, Team Peyton's gonna eat.
But man, Team Barry's really good, man.
Cunningham, Team Peyton has like 3 of the 5 best players.
Well, Dyson's going to be up there just vacuum up the competition.
These jokes are not going to cut it, Oren. You got to stop, Pat. You just leave this Dyson guy alone. I don't even know who he is. Which is why I like
Team Peyton. I like Team Peyton.
Okay, Team Peyton.
Yeah, that would be my bet.
Kyle, what about you?
Team Peyton. I think Team Peyton has, like I said, 3 of the 5 best players. Honestly, like LaMelo, Scottie, and Chris Duarte. Like I guess Team Barry's pretty good. Dude. Cade and Evan Mobley, but other than that, like I'm not bothered by anyone else.
Team Worthy, I will say.
I forgot
at least talent. Yeah, at least talent wise, they're like compared to the rest of the teams, but I will say they are gonna have some highlights.
They don't have any centers, but they got some talent. Like 0 centers.
Bigs.
Right?
Herbert Jones is a big, no? Is he?
He's like he's like a wing.
He's a wing? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Norm Powell trade.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Jalen Green. Wow.
Sorry, I just want to quickly address Litmus saying Team Peyton got no defense other than Scottie. Bro, it's an all-star game.
No
defense.
This guy wants to see Detroit Pistons 2004 slugfest.
Yeah, this was embarrassing. I think
the funny thing about this trade was that when it happened, a bunch of people. I was actually watching Will Lou's radio show on YouTube, and a bunch of people in the comments were like, "No, that's not Woj. That's fake." Because it's such a crazy trade that everyone thought it was a fake Woj account because now we've gotten used to just getting played on the internet.
Yeah,
and then I
got played live, literally live. I don't know if you guys remember that. Some of you guys that are watching, I got played live. I forgot what it was.
I forgot what it was too, but yeah, I do remember.
It was bad.
But yeah, like then I had to go on Twitter and I was like, yeah, it's Woj. It must be true. But this is an insane trade.
Portland needs to relocate after a trade like that, and I like
Montreal. Bring them to Montreal.
Yeah, Vancouver, Seattle, something.
Yeah.
This is genuinely one of the worst trades I've seen in years, and I'm not even exaggerating. I don't know how you give away Norman Powell, and who is the best piece of that? Is it the 2nd round pick? Is that the best?
They must
piece of
really
trade?
like Keon Johnson. I do remember like Keon was a target for the Raptors before Scottie Barnes. I remember people talking about like they really liked Keon, and then he really fell in the draft. So sure, they might really like Keon. He was like a late 1st round pick, but still, this was clearly a deal to get under the tax and to shed a lot of long-term salary for Portland, who just traded for Norman Powell and then paid him for Gary Trent Jr. But my thing is like, I mean, this is a good example of like how the NBA has some owners are billionaires and some aren't. And what's his name over in Los Angeles is willing to go over the tax in a season when they have no chance of winning, with Paul George and Kawhi both injured, and in Portland they're just trying to shed salary.
But
So
I think it's worth saying like the guy you're talking about, Steve Ballmer in LA, rich from Microsoft. Portland.
I want to like rub his
Paul
head.
Allen. Yeah, Paul Allen died, but he's also Microsoft. Like they have a ton of money. It's like such a cheapo move from an organization that was like, they're also Microsoft. They're actually like the same level of Microsoft as Steve Ballmer. And unfortunately, like Paul Allen died, but it's still like their trustees. Like they have so much money. Why are they shedding salary so aggressively for no reason? They're like the second richest owners in the league type thing.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me because Norm Powell could help every contender pretty much. And I get that the contract long term might not be great in the 4th and 5th years. But if you're a contender, you're not worrying about that. You're just worrying about how can you improve this team right now. And Norm would improve all of those teams. So I don't get how why they wouldn't do this deal separately and get, at least a first for Norm and then get something else for Robert Covington. I just don't get how that's the most they could get for those two players total.
You got 3 months of Eric Bledsoe. You get Keon Johnson, who Kawhi's out, Paul George is out. He's a wing player, and he's only played 15 games this year for the Clippers as a first-round pick. You get who else was in that trade?
Second-round pick.
You get Justice Winslow, whose like body is made out of Rice Krispies. What are the Blazers doing?
It doesn't make sense because they should be rebuilding, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't a rebuilding package.
So the Blazers are giving up the 2 best players in this deal for an expiring contract, Justice Winslow, and so you're right. Either like they are taping the Clippers practices, and Keon Johnson looks like Michael Jordan or something. Like I don't know what's going on, but it's ridiculous. I'm actually in disbelief, and I think like we gave a lot of credit to Masai for the Trent Jr. trade for Powell, but like if this is how Portland operates, like we should have got Dame in that trade. What's going on? They're just giving people away. What's like this?
No, but the other side of that is if this is Norm Powell's trade value around the league, right?
Yeah, no, I was being facetious. Like I was just kidding around. I don't think that's Norman Powell's trade.
No, me either, really.
At all. Like I don't think it even touches it.
Yeah,
this is trading Norm like he's like a negative asset. This is like Russell Westbrook value.
What I'm having trouble figuring out is if this is actually the market or if this is just the Portland Trailblazers being stupid. Like, is this really that much of a buyer's market where you can get stuff for cheap?
Look at this guy. Look what he said. Look at this guy. Oren, look what this guy tweeted.
Somebody come look at this.
And he was dead serious. What's his name? Is his name Chad?
Chad in Portland.
Of course his name's Chad.
Yeah, it must be a joke. Except he's verified.
No, it's not a joke because you know why it wasn't a joke? Because I quote tweeted him, and I told Don, our producer, not even to show him. Okay, but you're gonna have to listen to the audio. But like, if you're on Twitter, check out that because I can't say what that video says because it might honestly get us demonetized. But that guy had to be, on something. There had to be something in his bloodstream to tweet something like that. I understand, guys, if you're a fan of your team and you want to defend your team. That guy, by the way, works for a Portland radio station, so he shouldn't even be like putting his neck out on the line to defend his team. But the fact that he said the Blazers did not get fleeced, and then he followed that by saying they got under the tax line. They got to pick a second rounder. Whatever Bledsoe deal guarantees, Bledsoe deal can whatever. And then you clear room for Ant re-signing. Okay, you were going to clear room for Ant re-signing if you traded Norm for anything. So, like, that doesn't even count. What are you talking about?
The funniest part is he says, Bledsoe deal, a partial guarantee at 3.9 next year. He can be dealt before deadline or do buyout, valuable asset. How can you say do buyout and valuable asset in the same sentence? A buyout is literally not a valuable play at all. It's you're buying out a contract. So I don't really understand what that means, but
They couldn't even get a
and you're not
lottery
getting
protected
anything.
first.
You're not getting anything. For a second, I saw this and I was like, maybe they get something for Bledsoe. They're not getting anything for Bledsoe. Maybe a second round pick at the most, but like nothing serious.
Keep in mind, Norm Powell is essentially shooting 50% from the field this year, 40% from three, and 80% from the free throw line. It's not necessarily 50, 40, 90, but 50, 40, 80 is as close as you can get. A guy who's a very good slasher who shoots the ball really well. Just below, I want to say, like league average in terms of his defense. He's not like absolutely horrific, but if you're on a team like the Raptors, he's probably going to stand out. Yeah, I can't think of a worse trade in the last several years. I can't. I don't know what the highlight of this trade is for the Blazers. I don't know if it's Keon Johnson. That's sad. Eric Bledsoe, as if you're getting like 2013 Eric Bledsoe. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I honestly feel bad for Keon Johnson because like the pressure's on him so big now. Like he has such big shoes to fill. Like he's the centerpiece of this trade. So good luck, because I actually do like him. And like you were saying, Oren, like
he's the high flyer kid, right?
I thought he was going to be no, he's good. He's super athletic. Whatever. We should move on. If
just had to get some Portland slander in there. We had to defend Norm. We have to do that.
I was in the chat. He'd be saying this is Raptors Republic, not Blazers Republic. That's his favorite line.
Yeah, but Norm Powell is an ex-Raptor. Here's a little quick thing, though. Oh, sorry about that. Don't know how to get rid of that. Sorry.
Interim GM.
Interim GM. Why make the trade? This is his response. Cap flexibility, opportunity to clean our books a little bit, and just create more opportunities for this coming week and beyond through the draft and free agency. Why trade Norm Powell? Obviously a very good player that had some very good moments with us. He'll be missed. It was just having a move, that money to other positions. That's what the motivation was. Roster balance. All right, Joe.
Roster balance.
All right, Joe.
Roster balance?
Why don't you balance these? No.
You're not keeping the job. That's like an interim GM move. That's what I'll say. Like
right. I guess.
That guy is. We talk about how good of a negotiator Masai Ujiri is. Oh Lord. I mean, yeah, we didn't even talk about the Norm Powell side of it. He's gonna have fun.
Yeah, I'm happy for him.
They probably become 2023 favorites, no?
I think so. And he was so screwed in Portland. It was such a sad thing with Trent getting all this recognition in Toronto and Norm just like going to basically what became this rebuilding team in Portland. So I'm really happy he gets to go home, A, where he grew up, and B, play with Kawhi and Paul George next year. Like what they do when they play those 5-out lineups and they just drive, kick. Norm can be so good in those type of lineups. So I'm excited.
I guess the best part of this trade, other than the Norm part of it, him joining a contender or what will be a contender very soon, is the fact that Damian Lillard's finally leaving that shithole in Portland.
Yeah.
CJ's probably gone during the deadline. Nurkic is probably gone. Just do everybody a favor and just get them all out of there, to be quite honest. Build around what's that guy's name? Nasir Little, and let him shoot like 20% from the field, 25 points per game. I guess the only good asset I can see on that team that I could probably see staying there for the foreseeable future is Anthony Simons. But beyond that, man, if you're a Portland fan, just know the rest of the NBA is thinking about you. I personally, I don't have a lot of sympathy for Portland or really any other team other than the Raptors, but I'm really just happy for Norm. And excited to see where Dame goes. Let's wrap it up, guys. Do we have anything else to add? I believe that's it.
Yeah. Good.
The Raptors, can we pull up, Don, one more time the upcoming schedule for the Raptors, just so people know what's coming next for Toronto? Like we said, it's going to be a fairly easy ride compared to what the Raptors have gone through the last couple of weeks. You got the Pelicans, underneath the Nuggets, of course. But the closest game is Charlotte on Monday. Then you got OKC. You got the Rockets, and then Denver. I can't wait to watch Jokic. He's been one of the most fun players to watch this year.
That's in Toronto too.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun to see. What do you guys see? So let's imagine right now the Pelicans are right underneath the Nuggets, and we're looking at 5 games. I don't know, Don, if you could quickly zoom out for us a tiny bit, but out of those 5 games, I think it's 4-1, guys. I think it's 4-1, and the craziest part is I think one of those wins is Denver, and I think the Raptors drop one to a team that's kind of unexpected. Yeah, I see them playing Denver really well. Do you guys see 4-1 as well underneath what the Raptors have so far?
Give me 5-0. I think they can beat the Nuggets too.
We're going all the way to the top.
Oren, you're going 5-0 as well?
Sure.
Oh, wow. You guys.
Who's going to hold me accountable?
Optimism. You know? No, I'm definitely going to bring it up. I'm actually going to set an alarm in my phone, probably something in the calendar.
Okay.
Really quick, guys, before we end, don't forget to like the stream. I don't know how we had 200 plus of you here live with us on a Friday night. That must mean that you guys like us, or you like when the Raptors win. I'm not sure. It could be both.
Or you live in Ontario, where you can't go anywhere anyway.
Exactly.
I was looking up a restaurant to go to tomorrow night in Ontario where there's 50% capacity now. First weekend with it. Not a single restaurant in the city has space. Like
nice.
It's fucked. People really want to get outside. Yeah.
Before you guys leave us tonight, like I said, like, comment, subscribe to the Raptors Republic channel. Turn on the post notifications if you haven't already, so you know exactly when we go live. We'll be back on Monday for the Charlotte Hornets game. This was the Wrap Up Your Raptors Republic post-game live show where your Raptors defeated the Atlanta Hawks and brought the winning streak to 5. Their record's now 28-23 on the year. This live show was produced by our man, the myth, the legend, Don Yang. That was it for myself, Oren, and Kyle Brickman. We'll see you guys on Monday. Take care. And don't forget, guys, one last thing. Tottenham's the best team in the
bye.
Premier League.
Bye.
All right, guys.